You are now listening to the West Side of Afterparty.com.
Hi, I'm James Lott Jr., producer and host of Extra Connections. Join me every Monday live at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I bring on people from all walks of life. I will connect you with people, places, things, and ideas. You'll never know who will stop by. That's Extra Connections, every Monday on the West Side of the After Party Radio. See you at the party.
Connections. Extra Connections. 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 People, places, things, ideas. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, healings. Arts, culture, politics, science. Health, music, acting, dance. Connections. Extra connections. 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 Older, younger, full hunger. Living life, victory, strife. Arts, culture, politics, science. Health, music, acting, dance. 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 Connections. Extra connections. 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 Extra connections. Connections. Extra connections.
It must be Monday, and it's going to be the last Monday of the decade, and you will see me. That's it. I know you're sad. I know you're upset. I would be too. Welcome to Extra Connections here on the After Party Radio. I am James Lott Jr. Of course, you know who I am. If this is the first time you're tuning in, I'm James Lott Jr. And I am so excited because I get to bring somebody on. That's why I love having my own show, because I can do whatever the F I want. And I'm so excited to bring this person on. Okay, I actually have an intro for you.
Okay.
Should I do this correctly? Okay. And he knows me, so I do this. Okay. I don't even have to read this. One of the reasons that I am in television and all over YouTube, he's one of the reasons. One of the biggest champions of my career, him over here. He taught me that age, race, gender, whatever, doesn't matter in the large world of advancement opportunities. He taught me that. He's half my age.
Not quite.
So just about. He is the former executive producer of AfterbuzzTV. He is a 360 creative coach. He's the author of the ebook, Master Mental Fortitude, A Guide to Achieving Your Creative Ambitions. 35 lessons exercises. He's a film producer, editor, director, and he's my friend, Phil Svitek.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the wonderful intro.
I'm so excited for you to be here. And he also has a Phil Svitek podcast. I want to get that.
Yes, I do have a podcast, which is very much in theme with the book, which is about aspiring artists. And, I realized I love doing that. And
you should be James Lott Jr. Jr. I do like 20 things on here.
I feel like I do have a similar bio to yours. Yes.
So we're going to do some church announcements first, and then we're going to talk to him, as I always do. We are on the THA, not THE, the After Party. And that's everywhere on social media platforms. Follow us on IG, Twitter, Facebook. We're the After Party West on Facebook. But you follow both of them. There's that After Party, the one in Dallas, and the one here. Follow both of them. Shout out to Montana Mitchell, my girl, who's always working out at the top. But go ahead and follow us there. This show is Extra Connection Show on Facebook. We are on I almost did it again. Apple Podcasts. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm in 2020. I'm gonna get it. Spreaker.com and iHeartRadio, and then my YouTube channel, JJ Media. So you can follow this after we film this. It'll be all there for you guys to listen and or watch. One of the things I want to tell you about is that I have a movie out. Second Chance for Christmas.
Very apropos this time of year.
Completely. And it stars Vivica Fox, Brittany Underwood, Mark McGrath, Tara Reid. I mean, it's a whole host of people in this movie. I'm in it too. I'm part of Christmas Future.
I heard you're pretty bad in it, though.
I am bad. I get to be a bad person, and I love it. And we had Kelly Vidolin on last week, my co-star.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun. It was kind of fun. But it's out now on Apple Plus TV, Amazon, Apple, all those places there. And my book, A Winter's Night, A Christmas Mystery, set in Pittsburgh, of course.
Of course.
You can get on Amazon, where all books are there. And of course, my Christmas songs. Hey, it's Christmas. There's always hope at Christmas. And Santa, Santa, Santa. Hurry up, Santa. I do a lot of Christmas stuff.
Hey, listen, it's a great time of year, and I'm excited that this is out. And for those that didn't catch, the pun is that you play a bad host, meaning someone
exactly,
who is,
right. Yes.
Which I joked before we started must be very hard for you because you're such an amazing host.
Well, so okay, so I want to start with that because I get to say this to him on camera and on the mic. So I won an award a few months ago. Mm-hmm. I think you saw my speech.
Yes, of course.
My speech went viral. It was this huge thing. They give you 30 seconds. I spoke for a minute and a half. But it went viral. They loved it. I was so shocked I won. So I won for a show called Breaking Into on Black Hollywood Live, which is part of AfterBuzz Media. I was so shocked I won that when I went up to speak, I blinked out on names. Like you really do. Like you're like. I think
there's a lot of lights. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, I get it. You're humbled in that moment. You're a very gracious person. So it's completely understandable. Like people when say, "Oh, how can you forget?" Well, you can forget.
You can't forget. I don't want anything. I think I said Kevin and Maria. I got them. I forgot my kids' names. I mean, I forgot everybody's names. But one of the names I would have said, if I had known I was going to win, I could prepare myself, was yours.
I don't take it personally, but
I
appreciate it even now.
But I'm telling you now, I was going to because I wouldn't have had that show if I hadn't come to you and said, I want to do something at Black Hollywood Live. You said, sure, Daryl Christian, here's James Lott Jr., and you made it happen. Even though he was eating a sandwich when I met Daryl. I always tell Daryl, when I met him, he was eating a sandwich and stuff in his mouth. Like, how professional is that? I love Daryl. I love you, Daryl. But because you believed in my talent, that you let me go to Black Hollywood Live, you let me go to Popcorn Talk, you let me go to Book Circle Online, and I just want to say thank you.
Of course. See, I even interrupted Daryl's sandwich eating to make this happen. I was like, this is important. I'm cutting your lunch short.
He was hungry. I know he was hungry. Well, I joke about that, and he was great. But I just want to say thank you. I mean, so when I came on almost 5 years ago there, it's been almost 5 years.
Half a decade.
Yes, half a decade, I know. And you got to work with me. What is it about me that you saw in me, kind of? Because this was all kind of new for me, this whole TV thing.
I think anyone that meets you, you just exude this passion, this energy. Even if you're watching or just listening, like it's coming through the headphones, it's coming through the screen. You just feel that energy, and when you sense it live and in person, you're just infected by it in the best of ways. And so you're like, yeah, what do we want to do? I don't care if we're selling cupcakes. What do you got going on? Let's do it. No, and there is there is a science behind energy and various things, and you can look at Joe Dispenza and he talks about like the higher, like the greater the emotion, like love, gratitude, and so forth, you're emitting greater energetic fields, and so people are attracted to that. Like there is scientific studies about this type of thing, and I just wanted to embrace you.
Do you now, because you've done this for so long, can you tell when someone has it?
There is, to me, after doing this for so long, there's a difference between talent and, because to me, talent is not enough. Like I look at talent now as a process. So are you willing to, you might have the skill set, but are you willing to go through the process? Yeah. And I always sensed with you, you had just in the short amount of time that I known you, you had a proven track record. And there's sometimes people they have this enthusiasm early on, and it wavers after a certain point. But I knew that wasn't happening with you. And there's certain markers, and there's also an intuitive thing that I've learned over the years. So it's a little bit of, there's quantifiable, but there's also inquantifiable as well.
But you meet so you meet people and you're like, ooh, that energy is like really good.
Yeah, and I'm also for my money's worth, I'd rather give someone the opportunity and, not to say it in a negative way, see if they fail at it. Like I'll get, if your goal is this, the nice thing that I do have is, you know what, let's go for it, right? Let's break down the barrier, and do you want to do that? Let's do it. And then it's up to you. Like if you truly want to do this, now it's up to you to step up to the plate.
I like that. Well, there's nothing wrong with failing, right? That's
No,
the
and,
thing.
and there is, there's people who fail through no fault of their own, but they learn something, and then it's like, okay, well, how do we use that? And there's people, who have the imposter syndrome, unfortunately, and it's like, you know what, it didn't work out, but if you truly want to do this, you got to work on X, Y, and Z, or you don't, and just be honest with yourself.
Do you believe, because I believe this, you have to really know what you want to actually go for it?
I think you have to know your passion. And I think a lot of people get hung up of what's my career path.
Yeah.
And I don't think that exists anymore. I think you have to try different things. And I think especially one of the disservices that we do with people starting off is like, what's your career path? What's your trajectory? And it's like, no, it's okay to try different things. There was a show that I worked on, and I apologize, I forget her name, but it's like the Quarter Life Crisis.
He's worked with lots of people. He's worked with a lot over the years. He's worked with a lot of people. So.
And I remember the lessons, but I don't always remember the names, which is unfortunate because I should, I want to give credit to where credit is due.
Right,
But the point being is that oftentimes, I now kind of count myself, because I'm not in a quarter life anymore. All we can offer, kids of that age is, oh, it was hard for me, so you can get past it. And it's like, no. There's a way to mentor them through this. And why is it a negative if someone's trying out different things until they land on the thing that they do like? And especially you look at the most successful people in the world, they don't really start their greatness until they're like 50.
Well, I was 40 years old when I got into this business. I had a million jobs before that. I had different career paths before I got here.
But you don't look at it as a negative either, because too many people have like, oh, I wasted so much time doing X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, that created a weird. So. David Epstein, he works for ESPN, sports science guy, and he was a terrible scientist and terrible writer.
Okay.
But by the way, I'm paraphrasing his own words.
Right.
He took that and he became a sports scientist because he had the right requisites for that. And I think he calls it a match fit. Like he found his match fit.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
And so those various things that we try in life, they're not negatives. I mean, it's up to you to ultimately see it one way or the other, and you find your match fit. And so all the things that you've done in your past got you to this point.
Well, I can use them.
Yeah.
I've been using them. I use them in my interviews. I use them in the way I do things. It all does kind of help with the current, with the present.
You know what's funny? So you and I both love Gary Vee.
Yes.
And there was, for some reason, this video really resonated with this girl. She said, I sell real estate. I've been doing it for 18 months. I feel like I'm burnt out. I don't have a passion for it. And he says, you're not burnt out. Like, everyone just gets so hyperbolic about, disease and so forth. Like, you just don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
So stop and move on to something else. Like, that was a part of your life. You did. You learned it. Now move on.
Yes.
Simple as that. People overcomplicate things.
That's where the ding. That's where the ding comes in, because that's something that they overcomplicate. I mean, you can say it 20 times. People do overcomplicate things. I'm like, somebody said to me the other day, James, so how do you do all the stuff that you do? I go, I just do it.
Yeah, you just start with the first thing, you make a list, and
I wasn't
go.
trying to be smart or anything, but I was like, I'm being like, I just do it, right?
Yeah.
You start a list, you put down what you want to do, and you start making things happen.
Well, the funny part, also knowing you, the list of probably stuff that you're not doing is far greater than things you are doing.
Right.
No, but it's true of anybody, and I think, and you just take it step by step until it looks like a lot.
That's true. I like that. That's true. Okay, so I want to talk to you about a little bit about AfterBuzz in the sense of that you were part of something that was very unique that had not been done yet. I mean, now it's huge everywhere, but like you were the nucleus of this after show movement. What was that like?
I certainly don't think about it in the moment. You just think of how do I not mess this up.
You're right. You're right.
No,
Yes.
and in a lot of ways, because at the time, it's we take a lot of things for granted, but the technology and so forth was nascent. It really, people were doing podcasts, but like you had to be a podcast enthusiast to know
Yes.
what the heck that was.
Yes. Yes.
And so, we took a shot, and luckily with Kevin and Maria, they had the ability to play because of, they were known in other facets of the industry. But at the same time, that adds a little bit of pressure because, like, well, if they're going to take this shot
Yes.
and they fail at it, what is podcasting like?
Yes.
And but it made sense. Like, people love TV. Like, we were in. It's tough to define the golden age of TV, but we were, now we're like in a streaming TV realm. But
Yes, we
before,
are.
like, true actual
Mhm.
TV, and people just wanted to talk TV shows, and we felt that was the right thing to do, and it just kind of grew organically. Like, we never had a sit down meeting of like, all right, here's our 1 year plan,
Right.
5 year plan. We just okay, and we were catching up with. We weren't even building the plane as it went. We were
Yeah.
catching up to the plane.
Well, because it's so funny because I mean, I always think back then, even before then, there were message centers and things like Television All Pity and things like that were out there really big, but they were all talk. They were
Yeah.
all fans typing in and talking, or Reddit or whatever. So I was like, this was something interesting because it was actually, like you said, fans talking about their favorite shows. When I first came to AfterBuzz, that's what I was told. It's like fans about their favorite shows.
Absolutely.
Oh, and then you work with the networks to have the guests from the shows on, and you do little things. I'm like, I like that idea. I mean, what a simple idea, really, in a weird way. But like you said, when you started, no one else was doing it.
Well, I mean,
Like that.
it's very symbiotic, right? The networks love it because ultimately we're promoting them, and the fans love it because we're diving in deeper on all things that they want to talk about. But also, from that perspective, very early on, like all the statistics showed, like YouTube won't do like over 2 minute videos don't do well on YouTube. Having highly produced shows don't do well on YouTube. So we were like, well, we want a very nice looking studio, and our shows are going to be like 45 minutes. So we're going to break both rules.
Right.
And it's one of those things like you're wrong until proven otherwise. So, look at the guy who did the 4 minute mile. Like the 4 minute mile was impossible until someone shows that no, it is possible. And now you have good content out there.
Well, I think of the Podfather, Adam Carolla. I would think of him podcasts now are like business cards at this point. Everyone has one.
Pretty much.
You know what I mean? And I say that, I'm joking about it, but it's also a great thing because there are some really great podcasts out there. But in the beginning, there was only a few that were doing it. People were like, what's a podcast? Like, where do I go? What do we do? So you've seen that whole evolution. And you've seen YouTube. You've seen that evolution. And when it first started, it was like joke videos and whatever. And you saw it through the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I'm really amazed. I mean, nowadays, like, there's nothing you can't learn. That's part. I like the democratization of knowledge. The podcast that I've gotten to work with, for example, Gwyneth Paltrow interviewed Ray Dalio, who's, to be honest, even bigger than like Warren Buffett, right?
wow,
in
okay.
terms of investment, Bridgewater Associates,
Oh, okay.
and so you're essentially a fly on the wall for something like that. And so just to give you a little bit of insight into like Ray Dalio, one of the things that I love about him, people think that he doesn't ever make bad investments, and he's like, well, people attribute that to me, but they don't look at the process. And the process is I bring everyone in, and everyone's hooked up in a meeting to a machine, and it could be like, okay, James, you're not speaking, and we've been talking about this, and you have something to say against this. Go ahead. And it's not in a way to call you out. It's to, when you have to make $1 billion investment, let's say,
Right.
you got to make the right decision.
Yes,
we're going to spend
yes.
time. We're going to sit in this
Yeah,
room
talk about it.
and figure it out. And so
Wow.
it's the best idea that wins. So it's not him making the ultimate decision of like, let's go with this, let's go with that. No, it's the process that he's created.
I like that. I do. I like that. And just kind of one last thing about the whole after. You were there how long?
I've known Kevin and Maria for pretty much a decade. I mean, I've known them since June 2009. Now, that's not the length and breadth of AfterbuzzTV, but when did we start? We started in like September or August of 2011.
What do when you look back at this, just because you're not there anymore, you look back at this experience. what are a couple things that you take with you from that whole? You were an executive producer. You were a host. You also hosted shows. You're creating stuff. I mean, you did classes. You did training. What do you look back on that whole experience in general? What are things you take with it?
The interesting part, they say like the world is very small, and the world is very small. Like I've seen certain people burn bridges and things like that, and I look back at that, and there's people that I continue to see in other facets and whatever else, and it's great. And I've met a lot of young people that really want to make it and so forth, and so it's just have patience, and you don't have to be jealous of other people just because someone else is successful. Like if tomorrow my best friend was the head of Warner Brothers, great. Guess who's coming over for a meeting?
Hello, thank you. Right, exactly. We think the same way. Yes.
So I think that's a lot of part of it, and I mean, I certainly learned to publicly speak.
Yes, I know for you. Yes.
There's a lot of things I learned technology-wise. Yeah, I'm just very grateful for the whole experience, and also the human side of it. Like some of the greatest friendships have come out of it, and
I agree.
Everyone there is like a family to me.
Well, I'll tell you, the last thing I'll say about this, I just tell you that there's a lot of former AfterBuzzers out there. We had AJ Gibson on, a few weeks ago. There are people out there who are doing great things and various things. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And I love following them. And when I do see them, it's big hugs. Oh, hey, how are you? And we tell each other what we see about each other. And it is like a family.
Yeah.
It really is. There's a lot of us out there. A lot of AfterBuzzers are out there.
And it's not like the fake family either.
No.
Like LA, I don't. The stereotypical thing is that everyone's fake friends and how can I use you? And I don't get that vibe. That's why I love talking with you, because it does cut deep. We cut through the surface level pretty quick.
We do. No, we do. We do. So we're gonna take a break. Our first break of the evening. And play one of my songs. This is the Extra Connection show on the After Party with Phil Svitek, James Lott Jr. We'll be right back.
My ears are bleeding. My tears are flowing. My fears are growing. I cannot carry. Too many people. So much hurt. What can I do? I cannot carry. Quality. 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 My eyes are tired. My arms are heavy. My shoulders dropped. I cannot carry. So much to deal. Too much to heal. My energy cropped. I cannot carry. Today I just want the world to stop spinning round and round. Quality. 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 Today I just want the world to drop everything that's bound. Quality. 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 Quality.
my song Quality on my new CD that's out called Salty Clouds and Sunflower Dreams. He is of quality. Phil Svitek, I picked that song because of him. He's a quality person. I'm James Lott Jr., so.
Equal quality, if not greater.
I like that. We're talking in the break, we're talking about age and stuff that's going on these days. And I actually want to talk about your 30s.
Okay.
And because you're just new into this, what are you seeing for yourself as you're entering your 30s? I know you're doing lots of projects and things. What are you seeing?
You know, looking back on it, it was always harped to me like as a man, you don't enter the age of intelligence until you hit 30.
That's what he said. Yes.
I think that's true.
That's totally true. Completely true.
Maybe I was like conditioned to like I don't know which it is, like the chicken or the egg type of thing.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, so you take certain experiences from all that, and now you start to do something with it. And I think it's one thing in your 20s to have the skill set, but you also got to realize like you don't have the life experience to make certain judgment calls. And now I feel like I have a greater appreciation, can look back on certain things and actually form an opinion. Okay. Now I'm always of the mindset that like Socrates, there's far more things that I don't know than I do know. So, and so it's kind of like you come to those terms, and I'm trying to prove less, I guess. Like when I was in my 20s, I was always trying to prove something to somebody, maybe even to myself. But now I'm just like, I'm just having fun and doing what I want to be doing. There's nothing else to prove.
Really likes that. No, it's good. No, it's true. Because I mean, in my 50s, I have learned that I know what I know, and that's good. And the education never ends. So I know what I know, but I'm always learning something, and I don't have to prove anything to anybody either, because I know what I know. Yeah. So I can share with what I know, and that's fine. But I don't have to prove to you why I have, a doctorate, or why I have this, or why I'm a certified life coach. I mean, I don't have to prove that to you. I know what I know.
Yeah. And I really appreciate that, and I'm lucky enough where I get to work with people that I want. If people for me, if people see the value in me, great, we'll work together. If not, okay, no harm done. And by the way, I'll even recommend other people that I think you could work with, try it. And I have nothing to gain. Like there's certain people that I have no affiliation whatsoever. I'm just like, that's a good person.
No, you're good about that. No, you actually are good about that. And one of the things I also noticed about you, because I love this whole 360 approach thing, and the 35 lessons and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to get to that a little bit, but I want to ask you, in your opinion, from all these years of kind of doing things yourself, what do you think is one of people's biggest obstacles to achieving their greatness that you see?
I think it's their mindset. I mean, it really is. Everyone can have skill, everyone can learn certain things, but if your mindset is in your way, you're never gonna get past certain things. It's just not gonna happen. And I can point to certain parts in my life where that was happening. And I am a big advocate for therapy for everybody. And
agree.
it's not a reflection of like you're messed up. No, like I think we all have certain hardwiring, if you will, that prevents you from knowing certain things, and it's subconscious, if not unconscious. And when you discover those things, you're like, wow, how much easier would it have been if I just dumped those set of bricks 10 years ago, or even a year ago.
Well, there's just things that you sometimes carry with you longer than you probably need to. That you just almost. I mean, I'm a professional organizer, so I always liken it to that, where I've had these shoes for 6 years. I wore them in the beginning. I don't wear them anymore. But I'm used to having them in that spot in the closet, just that it's just there. But I could get rid of them and have something else in that spot. I'm so used to having them.
Yeah.
So I feel like life can be that way sometimes too. Where you just kind of carry certain things along with you, and then you're like, oh, I probably should shed that or trim the fat on that, and then something new comes in. It's wonderful. One
of the things they say, you should treat your bookshelf in your house like a library, meaning books come in and books come out. I think people get too much into the collection stuff. I've gotten rid of that. I could care less. Like there's a few favorite books that I'm always going to reference, and I'll keep those. But as far as everything else, like if I'm reading a new book, it goes on the shelf. When I'm done with it, it goes to somebody else, goes to the library, goes to donation, doesn't matter. And then it makes new space.
I forgot to say hi to the folks in the chat room. Say to Cameron Lewis.
Hello,
We know Cameron Lewis.
I love Cameron Lewis.
And Tari J. Miller. We love Tari J. Miller.
Love Tari.
And some other people are in here, Janet and everybody in here. Yeah, Cameron Lewis is another person, the Woody Show producer, #1 show in the morning
Very
show.
proud of him.
Very proud of him too. We're very. We knew
You
we
guys
were
were thick as thieves.
Oh, we're still friends. We're still close. We're still friends. We're still friends. But yeah, he's one of my favorite people in the world. So I'm glad you're watching us. But yeah, I mean, because I feel okay. So you came up with these 35 lessons. So kind of tell me how you came up with 35 lessons.
I mean, okay, so
Good
I
number.
didn't come up. Well, good number. I didn't come up with them necessarily. Like these are lessons that I've been lucky enough to learn in my life, and that's what the podcast really was just me teaching various lessons that have benefited me. And so I started the podcast, and then at a certain point, it was like these are good lessons. The way I'm teaching it, in theory, could be transcribed into a book version. So let me see if I can do that. Obviously, there's going to be polishing. I thought the process would be far easier than what it turned out to be.
Yes.
And to be honest, 35 at the time seemed like the right number. I think now in hindsight, it's a little bit more. Like it's a very thick book. Maybe we should have gone with 20.
Part two.
I feel like I want to, because these lessons is always ongoing, and so I do want to maybe try to put out like one a year.
Okay.
Because it's ongoing. But the thing I also have to kind of keep reminding myself is because now I've done technically, so I did 35 as like that's season 1 of my podcast, even though my podcast doesn't stop. I've just completed season 2. Now I'm on season 3. So that, in theory, each season can be a book if I wanted to, or I can take the best lessons and whatever else.
Yeah.
But one of the things I have to keep reminding myself is like I have to go back into these lessons. So like I'm always nervous about like what am I going to teach next. But in hindsight, every time I look at this book, I'm like, these are really good lessons that I need to remind myself of. No, it's true.
I love it. No, I love it.
And I can say that confidently because most of the lessons I did not come up with. They were lessons that have been taught to me. And
so you're the conduit. You're sharing them with everyone, things that have come through you, that you've come to your life, into your orbit. You're saying, here's what I've learned. Let me share this with you guys.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
And I think that most things, every new idea is really like idea A plus idea B equals new idea. And so...
That's an interesting thought. Okay, I'm going to go with that. I think you're right about that on some level, right? I mean, you kind of have an idea of something here, something over here, then something inside here goes, ooh, and then it kind of melds together into something new. And
that, I also found that it's very important. Sometimes it's the messenger, not the message. And unfortunately, like that's, for any couples out there, how many times, like, I've told you this 1,000 times, to your significant other, and it's like, well, you were the wrong messenger.
Yes.
They need to hear it from somebody else.
Yes.
And, I've just kind of come to accept that, and so if my being the messenger can help deliver that message to somebody else, then great,
True. Go to sleep, Cameron. Yes, you have to get up really early in the morning and do the Woody Show very early in the morning. So, go to sleep. You sit and watch us tomorrow. You watch tomorrow. I'll be up tomorrow. I can watch it. No, I always feel like life is one giant lesson. And I can pick and choose what comes into my life, any message. Like, messages are always, especially on social media, messages are always coming at us all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And people we follow, like some people I follow, like Gary Vee and people I follow, that I really like a lot, that I hear what they're saying, and I take it to bring my... So I feel like nowadays anybody can go to anybody and really listen. There's stuff out there for you to learn and listen. And Phil's one person you can listen to. I'm one person you can listen to. But there's a plethora of people out there you can really learn from.
Yeah, and they're wonderful. And I think we're smart enough to know who's actually genuine and who's not.
Yeah.
And I think that's a part of it. And I think when people think of like, well, why am I failing at X, Y, and Z? Well, are you truly being genuine, or you just think this is the path to greatness, success, followers, money, whatever you want to kind of attribute it as?
Do you think we can do the 1, 5, 10-year kind of plan anymore? Is that done? Can you do that anymore? I know some folks say I know Gary Vee says it's done, but I'm just curious for you. Can you still plan like that?
I think in the larger picture, I don't think the exact steps of like, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, but you have a feeling, like let's say I said to you, I want to be a director. And I don't know necessarily like if that was my true full intent, which by the way, I love making movies, but it's not my like true passion.
Okay.
So, what that path would look like on a 5 to 10 year trajectory, I don't know. But if you have a guiding light, go after that guiding light.
Interesting. Because people always say, like, well, in the old days, I was raised to make plans. And so there was a 1 year plan, and there was a 3 year plan, and there was a 5 year plan. And I'm like, nowadays, I mean, I always have goals every year, but I don't think I do beyond a year anymore.
I think it's one of the, well, I think that's in technically called the Scrum method, where
I've heard it before.
you reiterate a lot quicker, right? So you
Yes.
set a goal, you try it, see if it works, and then if it doesn't, you adjust, right?
Yeah.
So I think overall, I think have a plan, but don't be so rigid that if things come up and whatever else.
I'm glad you said that. Sometimes, and I know this personally, when you're open to the universe and you're working hard, things will come into your lane that you didn't expect or are not in the plan, but they're good for you.
Yeah.
So still don't say I can't do it, go do it.
Yeah. And, there's a important conversation that I had with a friend of mine. I think there's always a threshold of early on, I feel like you have to say yes to a lot more opportunity.
Oh, yeah,
Then eventually you start to say no.
Yes.
And one of the things, I don't know how to quantify when that switch is. You kind of have to just internalize it. But I think that's also a big component of it is early on, you're going to have to say yes a lot more.
I have
than
one
no.
friend who thinks it's the first 2 years. He was told, first 2 years you come to a city and you start something, say yes to everything, basically.
I won't ever give a number on it. I don't know.
No,
I think it's someone could all of a sudden become the world's greatest director, and then it's like people are handing them scripts. I don't know. Like it just depends on your situation, and it also depends on what you ultimately want.
What kind of child were you?
I was an only child.
You're an only child, so probably. But see, were you like? I was always organized. Even as a child, I was always organized. And when I played with kids, I was the teacher. I was the person in charge. I was always in the games. I was always one in charge.
I was organized with my friends in the sense that I would get things together, and then we would just create mischief. So I wasn't like organized as far as like my room was relatively like I would, for the most part, I've always been guy clean. If you know what I mean. Where it's,
I like that.
There's going to be dust on the TV, but I vacuumed. And things of that nature.
Oh wait, but your space at home, I think, is pretty organized, isn't it?
It's organized, but again, I would still, it's guy clean. But for me, as far as friends, like I said, we used to do mischief and things like that, and then once we learned about cameras and mini DV and we could tape stuff, we were making movies all kinds.
Yeah. That's just something I always get, because sometimes people, how they are now, there are inklings of how they are now back when they were younger. Like there's little things you can point to, and I know, like I said, for me, I know what organizing was. That wasn't a word or anything. I just knew that my half, because I came with a lot of family members, my part of the room was organized. My bunk bed was organized. I had my posters all organized. Like I didn't know what that meant until later, and now I'm using it. I had no idea.
Absolutely. Well, I think I was lucky enough. My grandmother really taught me how to actually learn. I think we try to, and this is something that Jim Quick talks a lot about. We put an emphasis on the knowledge, but we don't teach people how to actually learn that information. And I also think, don't get me started on education of just going for the result of A and B. Just grades.
Why not? We got a few minutes. What are some quick feelings about that? Are we done with grades?
No, I don't think we're done with grades. Ryan Holiday, who did this book, Stillness is the Key, he talks a lot about it. People are just too oriented on the result, right? And I remember, for me growing up, I actually liked certain subjects, and I want to talk about with the kids that were getting the A's, and they were like, "What are you talking about? I don't know anything about that." I'm like, "Yeah, but you got the A, I got the B plus. Like, can we talk about and let's dive in?" And they were like, "I don't care about that stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, so you just wanted the A, whereas I'm trying to figure out how to apply that to my life." And that always bugged me about people.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's very interesting. You're right.
And I think most schools have put in DM, it's a byproduct of just the way we teach.
That's true. But I know there's some schools out there who don't do A's, B's, and C. They do other grading systems that that to me seem a little better. You have to look them up. But I know some schools are trying to move away from the A through F system.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily have a better solution, but I know like I hated the SATs and I hated
I remember all that stuff. Oh yeah.
standardized testing. It just I was not a big fan of it.
But it's a whole other story about that too, and where you are in certain neighborhoods, and this isn't the View, so we're not going to talk about all that stuff right now. I'm not Joy Behar or whatever.
And I'm not an expert on like the education system.
Yeah, me either. But there's some stuff that you and I both know what I'm talking about, and you do too. Yes. So you have your podcast. What's it been like doing your own podcast? Because we come from where things were done for us and stuff, and now you're doing it yourself. How's it been for you?
It's been fun. One of the things why I did it, I almost kind of look at them as mini documentaries. So
I like that.
every week I get to continue practice editing and also the writing process, right? Like I'm writing mini speeches essentially, and it's also forcing me to make sure that I'm learning.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yep.
So it's been a fun process, and luckily so far I keep a journal of all the things that I want to do. And so far, I've got content lined up for 2021, so no shortage so far.
How are you doing with the speaking? Are you getting better and better and better and better and better?
Yeah, getting better and better. Yes, absolutely.
Some of us are natural. I'm a natural. You know me. I'm a natural speaker. I came out of the womb talking, so I'm like, I have never been a shy person. I know it's always fascinating people who have to kind of come to it. I think it's very interesting.
People, I've transitioned to now where I just play more to camera and have bullet points of what I want to say because it comes off much more personable. The only downside, I feel like I miss certain points that I really want to hit as opposed to if I actually scripted it out. So, where the next phase of it goes, who knows? But I'm trying to, in lieu of hitting certain points, just go off the passion a little bit more.
Like that. Okay, folks, this is our last break of the decade. It's like I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by this, and I'm gonna play a song that started it all for James Lott Jr. in the music business. My song "I Am Ready," which is my theme song. You know that song, and I picked it for him too. But playing that, Extra Connections. We'll be back in a moment.
I am ready for success. I am success. I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. Told the universe what I wanted. The universe replied, I will work with you and show you the way. These are the things you will need. You will need faith. You will need to surrender all negative thoughts. I am here for you. Get ready to listen with your mind and see with your heart. It all begins and ends with you. I am ready for success. I am success. I am ready. I told the universe what I wanted. The universe replied, I will work with you and show you the way. These are the things you will need. You will need faith. You will need to surrender all negative thoughts. I am here for you. Be ready to listen with your mind and see with your heart. It all begins and ends with you. ready for success. I am success. I am ready. I am ready for success. I am success. I am ready.
I am ready for success, and he is too. That is my song, I Am Ready. That was the first song I ever did, and now 4 albums later, right? And all these songs later, it's just kind of amazing. I want to shout out to my producer, Palms. Merry Christmas to him and everything. He's worked with me the last 4 years. We do some great music together. I'm so proud of that song. I'm just very proud of that song. That song came to me in 20 minutes. I wrote it in 20 minutes. Okay, it just came to me. First song I ever wrote. So divine intervention. Divine intervention. And Brittany in the booth has her EP out too. Check her out. She's doing stuff out there too. That's right, girl. Yeah, your EP. So anyway, we're with Phil Svitek, Extra Connection Show. Now it's time we do our little game. Because things are revealed when we do the game.
The hot seat.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So you're gonna roll the die because
Okay.
one dice is die. I learned that recently.
All right.
So just kind of gently, and wherever it lands. Ooh, okay. I feel brave when.
I feel brave when. That's a good question. I feel like I need some deep, hard-hitting answer.
Could be a light answer too.
No, you know what? They say, there's kind of the adage of if you can't, you must. And so I feel a little brave when I'm doing certain things that I know are beyond my comfort level, and I don't know if I'm going to succeed or fail, but I know I'm going to learn something.
I like that.
James Cameron has another sort of quote I'm going to butcher right now, but he basically says, like, if you aim high and you fail, well, you're still failing higher than most people's successes.
Like that.
So, you know
I like
what?
that.
Go for it. Feel brave.
I always say, my saying is, I always change I can't to I am. I thought that's mine. I thought that one up. I like that one. So
Am I
changed-
rolling again?
You're rolling again.
What if it lands on the same one?
And it did. You're the first person, actually, you're the second person that's happened before. Most of the time they don't.
I could re-roll again, or
Re-roll again.
let's do it.
Oh my God, I want you to answer it over and over again.
Do I get a prize or something for this?
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, this is a good one. Because I know you're a helpful person. One way I like to help others is.
I like to encourage. I think there's I don't do a lot of things in terms of dichotomies, but I feel like a lot of. You asked me about my childhood, and not
Yes.
that this is necessarily my childhood, but I feel like a lot of kids resent their parents simply because they were discouraged from certain things. And that's not to say like this is just a message for parents in
Right,
general. Like,
right,
one of the reasons why I love doing what I do is because I have a passion for the enthusiasm of my friends, and all I want to do is just encourage them, and whatever way I can help them, I try to.
He does. You do. He does. I think one of the greatest things we can do is support each other. We're the village. No, I'm the village mentality. Everybody knows me. I'm about the village. We are the village.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if I don't have anything to contribute to somebody, I'll just be like, hey, listen, I don't have anything to contribute, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go do what you want to do.
I have a friend of mine who says, his name is Sidney Clevenger. He says, we all win when we all win.
Yeah, that's very true.
I love that. Also, as a side note, you do have certain causes you are for here and there, too. You do speak out on certain things.
I do. Certainly, like dogs. A big one.
Dogs. We love dogs.
I mean, I'm not that versed in politics and things like that.
You're
but
not an activist.
I'm not. But to me, I here's how I would define myself and like the whatever cause I'm for in this realm, right? I feel like I'm not opposed to people having money and earning money, but when you talk about like the success of a nation, well, if you were a company, wouldn't you want to say like we have the best healthcare for everybody, we have the best dental, the best education, the lowest number of people in jail, the lowest unemployment. Like, look at yourself. If you were a company trying to recruit people, wouldn't those things be the thing? Like, if you were a headhunter that you were trying to say, and I feel like when we look at, especially, America, like, we're number one, but it's a wonderful nation. There's a lot of great stuff, so I'm not knocking it, but at the same time, it's like, well, there's certain things that aren't as right, and there's certain things that you can't overlook.
But you love dogs. That's why
I do love dogs
because we read about the care of dogs. Anybody who abuses a dog should be horsewhipped and worse.
And by the way, I will also say, people say, like, you got to be for a cause. Like, people, I think, overthink about kindness. Like, whatever you're passionate about, just do that.
I agree.
There's no right or wrong charity.
There
really
isn't. Seriously, there isn't. There's a million charities out there. There's a million things out there. You're right. Just pick one and go for it, and that's fine. Yeah. Oh my God, do it again. Do another one.
All right.
Oh my God, do it again.
If I get it a third time.
Okay, I'll do this one. I feel confident when.
I feel confident when I know I'm in control of my life. And that doesn't mean that things are going well and whatever else, but it's when I know I'm doing the things that I need to be doing correctly. Okay. So, whether that includes journaling or eating right, sleeping right, the things, there's only so much you can control in your life. And so, I try to remember that, and so that gives me the best ability in life.
Good. Phil Svitek, we got to do more together in 2020. I have a podcast called A Lot of Help, my life coaching podcast. You need to be on that.
I would be honored.
No, but seriously, we got to do more together in 2020. You're good.
I'm in.
I love talking to you. I love having you on the show. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want you to tell people out there where they can actually find all your goodies.
So the website is philsvitek.com, and those are also my social media handles, so it makes it fairly easy in that respect. So all the books, the podcast, all that, philsvitek.com. I try to make it as simple as possible.
And for you podcast listeners, that's SVITEK.
Yes, indeed.
Makes me say that there. I just want to just say a last few words, because this is the last show of the year, of the decade, of 2019. I want to tell everybody, of course, a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you decide to celebrate. I hope you celebrate it to the fullest and enjoy. When we come back January 5th, it'll be a new year. I'm wishing for everyone a productive, loving, compassionate in 2020. We forget that people need to have compassion for others, be kind to each other, of course, but also let's be productive. Let's do things positively to affect change in the world, and that's one of my missions all the time, is to affect change in the world positively. Hopefully I do that. I do my best in everything that I do. You notice everything that I do is a positive thing that I do. And there's no such thing as perfection. That word is out of my vocabulary. I invite you to get out of your vocabulary. Perfection is not a word.
Obama's great quote.
Say it.
Good is better.
Good is better. I love that. And so,
or better is, sorry.
No, better is
good.
Good.
Is it better? Then that's good.
It's good. As I say, but no perfection. Just, we're not doing that anymore. We're done with that. Just, like you said earlier, and like I said earlier, you want to do something? Do it. Be a doer. I stole that from Nick Purdue. I'm a doer. We know Nick. He always says I'm a doer. I said, I'm a doer too. Just do it.
Absolutely.
Try it. Don't worry about the consequences. There's no consequences. It's all for better learning in the long run in the first place. It all adds to your experience. So I'll make sure I say it to all of you out there. I want to thank Montana Mitchum for creating this whole network and adding me to the network this year. I look forward to doing more in 2020. Miss Brittany Love in the booth, who's always giving me love every week when I'm in here with my guests. She's always shocked how old they are and they don't look their age, that kind of stuff all the time. But she has youth and energy and vitality that I appreciate very much. I want to dedicate, again, next year, my shows to my brother Max, who passed away. His birthday's coming up on the 2nd of January. He would have been 52 years old. And I miss him every single day. And he would have been tickled that I had a show like this. He just would have been tickled. And so I want to dedicate the work, because he was a kind person. He had compassion. He was productive. And so I kind of do this all for him in some ways, and for myself, of course, but just kind of continue our legacy with him. I want to dedicate it to him. I want to say thanks to my kids and grandkids who put up with Papa Jamie's crazy schedule. because as you know, I do 20 different things. But they are loving and wonderful. So I remember the names right now, to Tammy and Monica, my daughters, and to my grandchildren, Zayden, Scarlett, and Rylan. I love you guys very much. And to my parents, my brothers and sisters, everybody, thank you so much for watching the show. Everyone who watches the show and you share the show, the after party. We have some great shows. You want to have a show here? Contact me. I'll get you in the right person. You can do a podcast here. It's a wonderful environment. Please support us. The after party's everywhere on social media, afterpartyradio.com. Just go there. And of course, you can follow me where all James Lott Jr.'s are sold. At James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. I made it easy for you too. I love you, and we'll see you next year. Thank you, everybody.
I got that.